If someone were to ask you, do you think it's possible for humans to stop making war? Would your answer be yes, or would it be no? What would be your gut response? If you say, I'd like us to end war, but no, it's not realistically possible, that response would match the no of the firm majority of citizens in the United States and probably most people across the entire planet. Consider that to undertake the building of prehistoric structures never before imagined by anyone, structures we even now consider amazing, like the pyramids, or believing that your nation has the wherewithal necessary to send men to the moon and back. At least one person has the idea and persuades others that it can be done. For humans, belief in the possibility of success underlies action to do anything. Belief also underlies anyone's willingness to spend their money or time supporting a project. Project Enduring Peace, or PEP, is a campaign dedicated to securing an innovative, sustainable peace treaty that will put an end to international wars. And with this video, we challenge the problem of disbelief. We'll consider 4 things that explain why and how there is a path to liberation. First point, peace systems. We have examples where humans decided to end or avoid war and succeeded. We'll briefly consider 4 peace systems. We also strongly recommend an 8.5-minute YouTube video entitled The Science of Peace Systems, A Path Away from War. Additional peace system examples are explained and illustrated, such as Switzerland and the Nordic Alliance. Second point, the existence of nonviolent and non-warring cultures. These prove that war isn't a genetically based inevitability. War is a learned, culturally sustained activity. Ending it will require us to change attitudes and behavior, something we're perfectly capable of doing. Third point, creating a peace system begins with an agreement between parties to never again make war on each other, and then laying out the foundation on which the peace system will function. The foundation can be a treaty, a constitution, or a series of agreements. The key isn't what you call it, it's laying it out and taking overt action. By the way, Star Trek fans may recall that in the Star Trek future, as opposed to the violent Star Wars future, there was no war on Earth. How did Gene Roddenberry imagine Earthlings achieving such a revolutionary accomplishment? Did he envision a world war so horribly devastating that amidst the smoldering remains, survivors came to the peace table where they at last established an Earth peace treaty? Fourth and final point, we address social paradigms, specifically a false paradigm that perpetuates war. So why is PEP's belief in our ability to end international wars realistic? In this 2012 article, anthropologist Douglas Fry defined peace systems as neighboring societies that do not make war on each other. These are not utopias. Their people have typical human disagreements, and they can be drawn into a war by warring cultures around them. But each found the means to settle disputes among them nonviolently. And the first thing they had to do, step 1, was to decide. They agreed that they would stop warring on each other. For us, in our time, step 1 must be the same. Citizens and leaders alike, we must agree to stop warring on each other. Project Enduring Peace believes achieving step 1 is possible because the global community is profoundly tired of war, is alarmed by the existential threats of modern war, and is therefore highly motivated to be united behind a movement demanding international peace that also brings a good news vision for how to achieve it. The Fry article looked closely at 3 peace systems: the Iroquois Confederacy of the Upper New York State, 10 indigenous tribes of the Upper Xingu River Basin in Brazil, and the remarkable example of the European Union, a 27-nation regional union. The United States is included here because it is a confederation of 50 states that don't make war on each other, and it shares key traits with the other peace systems. The story of the formation of the indigenous Iroquois Confederation in the northeast continental U.S. is a good illustration. Between 1450 and 1660 AD, three visionary leaders emerged, possibly much earlier. This was a time of great warfare between tribes in that region. Legend and general research concur that it all came together because of two men and a woman, a man nicknamed the Great Peacemaker, another man whose name you may recognize, Hiawatha, and a woman they called the Mother of Nations. It's notable that several U.S. founding fathers used many elements of the Iroquois Agreement, describing how the peace relationship between the tribes would work when writing the United States Constitution. The five tribes created symbols to characterize their union. For example, the Great Peacemaker had a vision of a long house big enough for the fireplaces of all five nations, a symbol of living together in peace. They created a tree of peace with an eagle perched on top. The tree represented the people, the roots symbolized their wish that the peace would spread to other nations. The eagle served as a warning to be vigilant against anything that would weaken or break the agreement. They understood the danger, that if people begin to take the peace for granted, they may lose it. Of noteworthy and critical importance, Iroquois women were highly influential. They were the heads of households. They nominated whatever man would represent them in the Council of Chiefs. In virtually all cultures, women are more opposed to war than men are, and in the Iroquois community, decision-making was gender-balanced. This perhaps explains the Iroquois receptivity to ending war and remaining at peace. Evidence in many contexts continues to emerge that inclusion of women in decision-making in public affairs and in peacemaking efforts fosters outcomes that reduce physical violence. Keep in mind that Fry closely examined three completely different cultures, thus finding common traits associated with success regardless of culture. Consider examples of these shared traits. First, peace systems create an overarching social identity. For example, for the EU and the US, they created their flags. Or for the Iroquois, it was the Tree of Peace. A peace system may create a national anthem, or a motto like the EU's United in Diversity. These systems make and maintain interconnections among the subgroups. For example, they encourage intermarriage between individuals from different groups. Or they may establish a trading system in essential goods. Peace systems create or preserve interdependence, for example, by creating a shared currency like the euro or dollar, or by setting up or strengthening a trading system. Pooling coal and steel production was an early step in forging the EU because it dealt with possible French and German competition. Peace systems create symbolism and ceremonies that reinforce peace. 3 holidays in the United States are shared by everyone: Independence Day, Thanksgiving, and Memorial Day. All the Chingu honor the deaths of all of their chiefs. Another explained, "We don't make war, we have festivals. We sing, dance, trade, and wrestle." Members of peace systems create superordinate institutions for management of conflicts among them. The Iroquois created a Council of Chiefs. The modern world has the International Court of Justice, which unfortunately isn't yet recognized by all nations, but could be. In the United States, the Supreme Court serves that function. Fry and colleagues recently added a 7th trait peace systems share. They select leaders that value and champion peace. Arguably, citizens regularly failing to ensure that their leader is a champion of the peace would be wise to recognize a warning that their peace is being dangerously taken for granted. Note importantly that global peace system or Earth peace system doesn't mean global government. Global government is something unlikely to ever be acceptable to most nations. What is envisioned is confederation. Nations will maintain their identity while also agreeing not to make war. France is still France, Italy is still Italy, Texas is Texas, and New York is New York. It's possible to envision an Earth peace system. Once established, well-constructed peace systems can endure. The United States has endured 247 years with only one very close call to avoid breakup. Reality is that humans prefer to live in peace. An Earth peace system based on an enforceable treaty has an excellent chance of lasting. If we're successful, maybe what we would be doing is laying the foundation of that Star Trek future of no war on Earth, a worthy cause to pursue, some would say a sacred cause. That now brings us to nonviolent and non-warring groups, which further prove that war is not a genetically inescapable inevitability, something that's hardwired into human nature. Some societies live well without it. There are communities that live within warring societies: Amish, Quakers, Jehovah's Witnesses, Baha'i. The dots show distribution areas of over 87 cultures anthropologists designate as nonviolent and non-warring. You may know the Hopi of the U.S. Southwest, and Laplanders who prefer to be called Sami. A woman of a Sami family in northern Finland owns the largest herd of reindeer in the nation. The Sami president is a woman. Again, note that in nonviolent societies, women are characteristically respected, even highly respected. Norwegians have been added to the category of nonviolent cultures, and in 2022 their parliament was 45% women. These examples just described are not theoretical, they're real, and they represent hope for what can be our reality. Which brings us to paradigms. Paradigms are beliefs that underlie any group's common shared worldview. As a global community, we all will be better off if we get off this deadly war treadmill. And to do that, we must free ourselves from a false paradigm that supports the war machine. That false belief is that war is inescapable. Many paradigms are unexamined, things we grow up believing. They are so deeply seated that virtually all people, without thinking, make everyday plans based on them. The sun will rise in the east. People may not always be telling you the truth. But paradigms can also be powerful while still being wrong. For example, the earth is flat. Women are too delicate and too lacking in intellect to engage in politics or war. There's no such thing as a nonviolent culture. Our dominant culture is driven by the belief that war is inescapable. It's what humans do. So we prepare for it. We manufacture weapons, maintain standing armies, develop ever more sophisticated nuclear bombs and artificial intelligent robot warriors. And we worry, worry, worry. The belief in war's inevitability by leaders and citizens alike feeds the war industry and tragically becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it leads people to think that the best we can do is find ways to make wars survivable. PEP's answer is no. The best we can do is stop. And step one is to decide we will no longer make war on each other. Then we assemble our leaders and insist that they fashion an agreement to that effect. We need to let it sink in that we have peace system models for how to escape the war trap. And knowing from experience that there must be consequences for treaty violators, this time we fashion a treaty that includes serious measures to ensure compliance. In a relatively short time, this agreement will deliver enormous payoffs. This graphic shows tentacles taking money from human welfare and survival and feeding it into the war industry, building and maintaining nuclear weapons in perpetuity, establishing and maintaining military bases everywhere, etc., etc. When nations become assured that they will not be attacked or invaded, those extravagantly expensive essentials sooner or later are seen to be and do become unneeded. Citizens realize their resources can now be better invested elsewhere, like dealing with climate change, ending poverty, providing quality, universal education for all children, tending to the health of Earth's ecosystems, eliminating causes of civil wars, reaching for the stars. Resources saved can be used to fashion a less violent, more nurturing, just, and egalitarian future. PEP's singular goal at this time, however, is securing an anti-war treaty. First things first. And developments during the last 100 or so years have created a unique window to end international wars that previous efforts such as the Kellogg-Briand Pact, the League of Nations, and even the United Nations could not. First, the invention of sophisticated means of global communication and spying gives us the ability to detect potential violators and proactively take actions to deter them. Second, the rise globally of influential and powerful women and women's groups fed up with war can provide focused, unrelenting energy to lobby for a commitment to end war. And third, we now understand people power. Rapid global communication and the internet enable ordinary citizens to coordinate. Global citizens fed up with war can use people power to pressure reluctant leaders to go to the peace table and ultimately to sign the treaty. This is, of course, a huge and complex challenge. Many religious and spiritual leaders call for peace. Thousands of organizations state that the search for peace is part of their mission. But reality is that for this long-standing evil, there is no simple or quick fix. It's distressing but not surprising that many people have no hope. And those activists who have not given up hope are fragmented and frustrated, fighting the many different tentacles of the war machine. What Project Enduring Peace offers is to focus the global community united on securing a treaty or other agreement, a single goal with vast positive ramifications. We're deciding what kind of future we leave to those who come after us. And the wonderfully good news is that we have the needed knowledge. We have the needed resources. What's required is focused action to bring global leaders to the peace table. United, we can fashion a magnificent human future to match our magnificent planet. If you want to share in this campaign, go to projectenduringpeace.org to find out how.